What's up, people? Welcome to this episode of the By the Hood podcast / webcast because I don't know how you're consuming this content. I'm your host as always. My name is Jimmy. And as usual, I have my partner with me, Corey. What's going on, brother?
What's going on, Jim? How you feeling today?
Oh, man, I can't complain. I see you in the office, the mobile office, shall I say. Still getting the work done, though, brother. That's admirable.
I don't have any choices,
I know.
unless you want my kids stomping around in the background of every one of these joints. We in the mobile office.
You already know. All right, no doubt. But listen, this is episode 40. This is a very special episode. We're continuing to pump out amazing content, highlighting brothers and sisters in the community who are doing amazing work, building amazing businesses. We appreciate all the positive feedback. Make sure that you hit the like button on this actual video, share this video, help us spread this content because we want to make sure we put some positivity out in the universe. Because it's important work that these people are doing. We've had, accountants on, business owners, options traders, community activists, all kinds of amazing people. And this guest is also amazing. And I was looking forward to this episode. We have a sister on who is a scientist, right? So we have a scientist who specializes in urban farming, amongst other things. We're going to get her to tell her story and let us know about what she has going on. So without further ado, I want to welcome Nadia Ruffin onto our show. How are you, sister?
I'm doing pretty good. Thank you for having me on the show.
Oh man, we appreciate your time. You're a busy, powerful person, so you spend time with us. We appreciate that.
Yep.
Like I said, I know that you're a scientist. You specialize in urban farming, which is something I'm very interested in. But where are you from? What's your background?
Actually, I live in Cincinnati, Ohio. How I got interested in urban farming, I actually went to Ohio State, and I graduated from Ohio State with a bachelor's degree in agriculture. My focus was animal sciences and pre-veterinary medicine, as well as entomology. Entomology is the study of insects. Things happened when I was in undergrad. I got sick or whatever, so I couldn't apply to vet school. But I did work in veterinary medicine for about 10 or 15 years, working in different hospitals, working in research. I actually worked at the University of Georgia in the wildlife animal disease research. Then it was a small animal medicine. And I also worked at the Ohio Department of Agriculture, Ohio State, and the University of Cincinnati, just doing different types of disease research and stuff. Later on, I decided, since I wasn't going to go to vet school because of, grades and things, and then like actually working in veterinary medicine, I started to find out that it was kind of like human medicine where it's just like promoting pill popping and, vaccines.
Even amongst the animals?
Yes, amongst the animals. It's even worse amongst the animals, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's kind of gangster.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's what they do. A lot of times they'll tell you each year to get your dog vaccinated for, all these different diseases or your cats and things. And the reality, they probably only need to be vaccinated once, but, it's a moneymaker. So that's how they keep running. They keep telling you to take these vaccines or take these medications, and they do the same thing with humans. So I was like, that's not the type of vet I want to be, even if I got into vet school. And so I've always been interested in insects. I love insects and, the way they, I was interested in the way they actually spread disease, especially like mosquitoes and other arthropods like ticks and things. So I went and got a master's degree in entomology. And my focus was medical entomology. But I found that, trying to focus on medical entomology, I found that people didn't know anything about any insects. And so along that same time, I was getting into, teaching people about farming, and I started a Instagram account where I was just like showing people like I was planting a plant, then I would educate them about an insect that may have been on the plant or whatever, and people like they were excited about that. And so that was like in 2013 when I started that, and it had just grown from that point. I teach people how to farm, but I also teach people about the importance insects and everything plays in this the vital role of everything that, all the animals, all the people, the environment, how that all works together. Because, people, they just want to kill the insects, or they want to get rid of this certain animal or whatever that may be in their yard or in their farm or whatever. And you have to realize all that stuff works together, and you have to figure out like why it works together. So if you eliminate one thing, you will cause problems in another area. So I try to educate people on that. So that's what I
Okay.
do.
Oh yeah, I mean, no, that's all interesting. Wow, it's a lot. It's a lot to unpack right there. In terms of how everything works in the circle of life. Not to sound like I'm on a Lion King or nothing,
Right.
but it's true though, right? When you talk about
Yes.
insects, I never even thought about that.
Yeah.
Um, but that's amazing, right? So I know that you have a nice following on Instagram, and people love your video, especially when you talk about things that you plan and what you're growing. You know, I
Yeah.
mean, I see the the amount of people that are comment on that. So that's dope. My question is this though:
Mhm.
what's going on currently? What are your thoughts on this coronavirus? I'm pretty sure you have some thoughts on this whole coronavirus and people's reaction to it,
Oh
or
yeah.
lack thereof. What are your
Oh
thoughts on
yeah.
this?
Well, see, I used to be a disease investigator before I started actually doing the urban farming. For 5 years, I worked at the health department here in the city that I work in. And I was a communicable disease investigator with a person that actually investigated disease outbreaks and things. So if I was still there, we would be, heavily involved with this coronavirus, especially we might have some pending cases here in Ohio. Um, but I did a webinar last week about coronavirus and explaining what it is. People are, they don't really know. It's so much stuff circulating on social media that can be confusing and things. Basically, coronaviruses, they have existed for thousands of years. They usually start in animals. And what happens is the virus can mutate and then it can make humans sick. Um, this particular one is a new virus. They've never seen this one before. And I know people keep sharing these things about the Lysol and the
I know I saw you
mucus
going
and
off on your Instagram about people saying Lysol will kill it. I saw I
yeah.
saw you going off on people.
Yes, yes. And you have to educate people on the fact that, these things are here and the things can mutate. I'm not going to ever say that it's not, something sinister, some, government or something can't release things, but there are things that naturally occur. Whether if it was intentional or accidental, it's out here now. But we need to be more concerned with the influenza, the flu that's going on right now, because we actually have had 10,000 or more people have died from the flu this year.
Sheesh.
So we're all concerned about coronavirus. We have I think it's about up to 6, maybe 12 cases that have been confirmed of coronavirus here in the United States. No, we have no deaths here of coronavirus. And the last I checked on like the 31st in China, it was like up to 300 people that had died from the coronavirus. But if you think of influenza, we have 10,000 people that have already died, 14 million that have been infected, and 180,000 that have been hospitalized.
What kind of
We
strain of
got
flu is going on over? That's
this,
going on out here.
this happens. This happens every year with the flu. That's why I don't understand why coronavirus took precedence over the flu, because we have thousands of people die every year, and the flu season is not going to end till May. So that number is probably going to get up into like the 40, 50,000 people have died from the
Oh my
flu this
god.
year alone.
Let me ask you a
And see, they're
question.
not talking about that.
And
Yeah.
this is my personal personal satisfaction. What do you think about flu shots though?
They're not really effective because they never really know what strain to put in there. They're just guessing. So how they go about making the flu vaccine is they look at the flu that's occurring in Australia before we get the flu. So Australia's winter is different than our winter time. So when Australia gets the flu, they'll go over there and they'll collect some specimens and they'll say, um, these strains are circulating in Australia, so they're probably going to be circulating when it comes time for our flu season. So we'll just put these in these vaccines. They're just guessing. So they're preparing this a year ahead of the actual flu. And so they'll make the vaccines, the flu season will come along, they'll vaccinate people. That's kind of questionable too. And then what happens is, yeah, I won't get into that right now. But what happens is people start getting sick, and then the flu that they actually have in the vaccine does not match what is
Okay,
actually
understood.
circulating at that point in time.
I
So
always wonder because I'm one of these people like I make sure I get my checkups, go to my doctors and all that. And I
yeah.
swear I feel like he be pushing the flu shot like a used car salesman. So I'm like, I don't
Oh
know,
yeah.
you know what I mean? So just asking. But anyway,
We can talk about that later.
yeah, we can talk about that offline. Shout out to my doctor in case he see this episode. But yo,
Yes.
anyway, I just want to talk about some of the things you have going on now, right? So we talked about the education that you give on your social platforms, but you
Mhm.
have multiple organizations and brands that you run. you have your produce company. You have your Agri Academy Labs as well as your nonprofit. Tell us a little bit about your organizations. Starting with how's it pronounced? Kiwi.
Yes, Kiwi Produce. So
Okay.
Kiwi Produce was the actual company that started back in 2013 when I bought the empty lot and I turned an empty lot into a farm. So on that empty lot, I grow produce, I have chickens, and I have honeybees. And from there, I would, use it to teach, but I would also grow produce and sell the produce to people in the community. So in the summer, the grow season is when that's usually active. Right now, it's not very active. I do offer like some hydroponics classes and stuff during the winter time through that for adults, so they can learn how to grow indoors without the use of soil. And I teach hydroponics and mushroom cultivation and introduce them to how to keep honeybees if they want to start that, because you have to actually start now buying the bees, like ordering the bees, ordering the supplies for the spring. Um, and then just with that kiwi produce, like I said, most of it's, during the spring, summers when I'm actually growing the things and selling it.
Okay, let me
I,
ask you a question. How difficult
Mhm.
was it, like in terms of like, was it any thing you had to do in terms of zoning, or did you get any sort of fight from people when you got the lot and decided to grow? You had to get any sort of permit, or you just went ahead and did it?
No, actually here in Cincinnati, they're pro actual urban agriculture to an extent. So they want you to turn like empty lots into some type of usefulness to them instead of they're just collecting weeds or garbage and things. So turning it into that, it was actually beneficial for the community. I met a lot of people that I would probably would have never talked to because they'll go past and they're like, wow, that looks like what I used to have when I used to live, down south somewhere. And we used to grow stuff. And I've talked to like all these elderly people that would just walk past there and we have these long conversations and they would tell me about, how they grew things and they would give me pointers and things like that. So it built a community that I probably would not have been able to build had I not put it there. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
and that's interesting. I've seen though in the past where sometimes the politicians get involved and it blocks progress because like the lots are sitting there empty anyway. Like
Yeah,
and you're actually producing with it. So all right,
yeah.
just wondering. So I guess in your area they're pro. You're doing that. So outside of your kiwi produce, you also have Agri Academy Labs. What exactly do you do with that organization?
So this is actually a new organization that I'm co-owner of. And basically what it is going to be a biotech technology type lab where we're going to actually sell different products and things and services from the lab. One of the things we're going to get into is actually cultivating hemp and preparing hemp clones for farmers. Particularly, we want to focus on Black farmers because they're the ones seem to be getting screwed in this whole hemp industry. And so we're going to try to help them out as far as growing you know good genetics for them so they'll be successful if they want to grow for CBD, if they want to grow for fiber, they want to grow for the flowers. It depends on what they're wanting to grow for. We're going to be able to supply those plants for them. Also with the lab, we're going to specialize in entomological things like pest control on your plants that's organic, and try to teach people, how to prevent insect infestations before they start, and there's things that you can do to prevent that from happening. And then also, with that, also offering some beekeeping services and things like that. So
Okay,
yeah.
okay. And go ahead, Corey. You had a question, Corey?
I didn't have a question. I was just like, I'm blown away by that gesture. Like, to create the plants for the farmers to clone. Like, that's pretty dope. Especially when you, like you said, that the Black farmers have a problem getting in because of lack of funding and capital.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
to be able to have somebody that'll help them get into the game, that's pretty dope.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
funny that you bring that up. I was just reading a book that was recommended to me and it was talking about the history of black farmers and how they got screwed and their land stolen, and it's like, man,
Yeah.
but to see you doing this in 2020 is amazing. And I've seen an uptick in black farmers just being online, seeing maybe it's always there, I just didn't see it, but now social media has shown me that black farmers exist, and but there seems to be a lot of younger people getting into farming as well. So I don't know whether that's because of access to information. It could be that. It could
A
be a
lot
lot
of
of things.
what? I'm
Access to
sorry.
information. I would say maybe it's access to information.
Yeah. Okay. So there's difference between farming and gardening. When you farm, you're farming for profit. So you may grow things that you're going to consume, but your main goal is to actually make money. So there's a lot of gardeners out there um, that they're calling themselves farmers, but they're really not, selling products. If they are, they're not selling them on a level that, can sustain their families. And
Got
that's
you.
what I'm trying to get people to is that level. Like you can take a small lot and you can turn it into a profitable thing if you're growing the right thing. But you have to know what's wanted in your area.
Okay, that's a
Certain area.
great
Go ahead.
information because I didn't know that distinction. But thank you for that.
Yeah. Yeah, because certain areas, some people might like last year okra was like in high demand and collard greens were in high demand and they actually were there was a shortage of them due to we had all that rain and stuff last year. So what I try to do is I try to show farmers how they can grow on a small scale but still be profitable. But the thing is, you have to be growing what people want. Like if you're growing radishes, nobody eats radishes. But
Yeah,
you can grow those like really quick, but you have to have a market for that, and that's a
man,
lot of things. Yeah.
that's a powerful business lesson, right? So we had a guy on before who was a marketer. He markets for corporations, and he said
Mhm.
something very similar. He said a lot of times people go in business to do what they want to do as opposed to serving what the consumer wants, and that's kind of
Right.
exactly what you said. Like
Right.
you want to grow radishes because you think it's fun, but
Yeah.
nobody wants to buy it from you, so you're
Exactly.
not really in business. You out here just growing radishes for interesting
Yes.
though. But other organization ask you about it. I know you also have Agri Academy Inc. What's the difference between Agri Academy Inc. versus Labs?
The Agri Academy Inc. is actually a nonprofit, and it's more of the research aspect of the lab, but also it's community outreach. And what I do with Agri Academy Inc. is I do a lot of outreach at the schools, trying to get Black children interested in agriculture. Um, Especially living in a city, the youth here know nothing about the industry, and I try to show them by showing them everyday things that they're surrounded by agriculture all the time. Um, you know, from the gas that's in their car to the clothes that they're wearing to the food they're eating, agriculture is always there. Science is always there. And kids are being deprived of science now, to the point that when they get to high school, when it's time to choose a career path, they don't choose science because they have never been introduced to it. And so I try to introduce them early on, just showing them the everyday things like how it works. Like, one of my classes is I teach them where chocolate comes from. And so I'll bring in cacao pods and I'll show them the whole process. And then, like, we'll make something with chocolate and they get to eat it. Or, I brought in corn and I showed them about corn. And then we got the popcorn. They got to learn the science behind that. But they also got to see how the plant is cultivated. And then I also got to see how much money corn brings into this country every year, with, just with like the biofuels using the ethanol from the corn and things like that. So they didn't even know those types of things were going on and that they could actually get involved in if they, either had some land or, if they wanted to be the scientist that turned it into the ethanol. Like there's so many different industries that they can get into inside of agriculture. And I try to teach them that it's not just farming. It's so many different areas.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. That's amazing
Yeah,
work you're doing too.
yeah, and then you going into the communities to do this work. I have a question about that though.
Mm-hmm.
You're serving the communities in Cincinnati. Is there an online component to what you do?
I'm working on. So I do have an online school. It's more for the kiwi produce where I teach the hydroponics and things online. But I'm working on setting up the actual classes for the youth as well. It's just hard doing that online because a good part of like the best part of learning is actually having a hands-on component and like online if they don't have access to a chicken because like one of the classes I teach about chickens and I actually bring like real live hens into the classroom, not the little fluffy chicks but like real live 2 foot tall chickens and they get to hold them and touch them. And so trying to teach that online and if they don't have access to a chicken it kind of takes away from
No, no, no. That's fine. I just wanted to know because there's not 50 of you in the
I
country.
know, I know.
So, you know what I mean? Like, there's kids around, you know, every state, you know, there's black cities in every, you know,
Right,
in every place. And, you know, what you do would be more than welcome in almost every single city around the
right.
country. So, I had to ask because, you know, everybody's not going to be able to come to you to get the information and knowledge.
I know, and so I'm trying to work on that. I've talked to a few people. They say they want to have like the curriculum, and I have the curriculums. I'm just trying to put them together and see what's the best way to present them online, like as an online like module, or just let the teachers just like sell them the curriculum and let them figure it out. I haven't figured out how to present it yet. Um,
Okay.
because
Okay.
it's things like I say, like the chickens and the hands-on components. Yeah, you can go out and buy corn and stuff, but if you don't have access to a chicken, or I have a veterinarian come, a black lady that's a veterinarian, and she'll let the children do like an exam on an animal, a real live animal, and they'll use the stethoscope and stuff. And so it's like things like that. If you don't have access to that, it's kind of hard to grasp that idea online if you don't have that actual model sitting there with you. So.
100%
Understood.
understandable.
Yeah, yeah. Because I'm sitting there thinking like, again, I'm always sitting there thinking like, how can I get, some stuff? I need to learn some stuff myself, and you need to do some
Yeah,
consulting because, I'm living in the
I do
city
that
though.
as
So
well.
I live in the city, so the space, and in Philadelphia we have row homes, so like the space that you may have, but I still have a yard though, right? So just trying to
Mhm.
figure out how to make that work because a lot of times like so I have a neighbor who has like a little farm or whatever, but I always wondered like with like cats because we have a lot of cats in the city.
Mhm.
How do you keep cats away from whatever it is you're trying to do without trying to?
Um,
Because I don't want to harm a cat. Obviously, I'm not in.
you can put like fencing around it, like chicken wire. You can make like a fence around it. If you have a dog, that'll kind of deter cats out of your yard if you have a dog. But a lot of times it's just gonna be fencing to keep them, especially if they're trying to use your spot as like a litter box. You just have to use
Yeah.
fencing or just chase them out. Or if it's like somebody's cat, you need to tell them like they need to keep their cat in their yard or in their house. But if they're strays, I mean, you can have the city come pick them up or.
Yeah, it's crazy in Philadelphia. Corey, I'm talking about in the city. Like we got
Yeah,
a bunch
everybody
of
start off with a cat, and then when they move, they cat stay behind, and they cat become
Right,
a street cat.
yeah, we got like
right.
what's the old cartoon Heathcliff? We got a bunch of
Yes,
yeah, we got
Rick
that.
Raff.
We got the street cats out here. But anyway, let me stop stealing your time for my personal benefit. But let me ask you this though: in building your businesses and doing everything you do, if you had to say what was the biggest hurdle to get to where you are today?
um, because I try to keep my business mostly black, getting our people, to understand the importance of what I do. Because a lot of times I still get hit with, oh, I can just go to the grocery store. I don't need to grow that myself. Or, there's so much confusion about, things like hybrids and all this stuff. And when you're trying to explain that type of stuff, the message isn't always received from you. Now, somebody else that doesn't look like me tells them, oh, this is what it is. They're more accepting of that. And I'm like, I just don't understand why we're that way towards our people. Like, I went to school for this. I done studied this. Like, I sit and I watch these plants grow. I know what I'm talking about, but it's like, it's hard to convince our people that, I'm legit. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah,
And that
yeah.
was the biggest hurdle. And that's still the biggest hurdle. Like, getting people to come to the classes that I have. That's why I switched to online, because I was having such a hard problem, getting people here right in the city to come and join my classes. Um, I've even offered free classes and couldn't get them to come in. So it was like, it wasn't that the price, because a lot of some stuff was free or like really cheap. And then I had to up the price because this is my livelihood. I have to make a profit. And it's just getting people interested in science and agriculture. Everybody now online, because of the information, whether it's good or bad. Everybody's an expert in everything now. People have
Hmm.
never even gone to school for something. Now they're an expert. And we have all these herbalists and these man-made doctors and self-made doctors. I mean, and it's like, you have to like weed through that, and then you know you got people following along with that, and you're trying to tell them like what they're telling you is not valid. It's not right. It's not right. It's not true. And you know these people have such a huge following that they're like, oh, they have to be telling the truth because all these people are following them. But again, it's like, you know, they have a persuasive marketing. If they can trick you into believing something, like if they can tell you this tea is going to do something and you believe it, then you buy it. Yeah, they're going to get that following, but the tea's not doing anything. There's nothing in it.
Yeah, and I was just ready to ask you, like, because I see what you're talking about every day. I spend a lot of time on IG, so I see that every day. What is the
Yeah.
biggest, like, shall I say, I don't want to say misconception. What is the biggest thing you see that just that's a pet peeve of yours that just bothers you when you see a lot of people believe it and you know it not to be true based upon, these quote unquote mentors giving them this information?
I'm gonna say this. I'm probably gonna get attacked when somebody watches this. The alkaline diet, like that.
Ooh.
That is the biggest. It's a big money maker. It has its good parts because it's getting people to eat fruits and vegetables. That's the good part. We need fruits and vegetables. We also need a balanced diet. And I don't want to get into that whole, you know, people should just be vegan and all that. I don't believe that. I think we should just have a balanced diet. The
Okay.
problem is that why people are getting sick is they're not eating things that they grow themselves, or they're not eating wholesome things. They're eating junk. So if you're going to the fast food restaurants all the time, even if you're getting the salads there, they're pumping all types of things on it to preserve that food, and that's what's making us sick. The preservatives, the extra salt, the sugar, all those chemicals, and all that stuff. If all that was eliminated, it wouldn't matter what you ate. Like you
So
would
it's
be
more
fine.
about whole foods per se than
Yes,
okay,
it's more
okay.
about whole foods, and it's more about eating food that's not been
Not
pumped with all these
processed.
chemicals. Yes,
Non
yes,
processed. Okay,
yes.
okay. I'm with you. That makes
And
sense.
so the alkaline diet has done a good job at getting people to eat fruits and vegetables, but the science that's being presented is just all off. Like they're saying things that are alkaline. I don't think people understand the pH scale and what they're saying, like certain things are alkaline. I'm like, that's not even alkaline, that's acidic. And then the things that they're saying are acidic, they're not acidic, they're actually alkaline, or they are acidic, but they're not bad for you. And I think people don't understand, like, our bodies, we're nothing but a chemistry project. Like, our stomach has acid in it, our blood is at a certain pH that it monitors its own self. It doesn't need you to help keep your blood at that pH. It has buffers in there to keep it at that certain level. So no matter what you eat, it's never going to take that out of whack. If it does, you'll be dying like within a few minutes, because what
Yeah.
happens is your cells, they're in an environment now that they can't survive in, and they'll start to shut their body down. It's not going to be like you're going to be living for like 6 months. No, you're going to die within that day or two. Um, and so it's just things like that, like the chemistry behind it, because a lot of people, they didn't major in chemistry, or they didn't go to school for biology. They don't know how the body really works. And I'll just throw things out there, and that's how I know that people don't understand. Because I'll say, like, it's a general question, and they'll be like, "Oh, I didn't know that," or So I'm
Yeah.
like, but then you're following this, and they're telling you this.
Yeah, and
It's kind of
listen, I can't imagine how frustrating that is,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Because it's one thing I'm thinking about this as you're talking, because I talked about seeing more people into people calling themselves farmers, and I guess now that you like made the distinction, a lot of them
yeah,
probably are gardeners. But the fact is, like I said, I'm thinking maybe it's because there's more information, but the problem with more information, it's a good and a bad, right? Because
yes,
all the information that's out there isn't great information, right? So
right,
we have
right,
access to all this information, but it doesn't mean that it's good information. It's just information.
right,
And someone like, so to make the analogy of what you're talking about. So I practice real estate and have practiced real estate, went to school for a master's degree in real estate for
yeah,
20 years. And I see all these quote unquote gurus online, um,
yeah,
selling people like just
yeah,
$1 million packages. And it's like, so I understand what you're saying, but
yeah,
man, man, that's
yeah.
tough. That's tough. So, I just want to tell you though, I appreciate the work you do because I learned a lot
Thank
from
you.
your page. Corey told me about your page and said, "Listen, we got to get this sister on." So I went to your page. I was going down. I'm like, this is it's like for me, someone who doesn't practice this is very educational. So I
Yeah.
want to say continue the work that you're doing. But what's the future? What do you see for yourself in the future with these organizations you've created? You know, are you going to show other people how to do the same thing you did with the lot, get their own lot? And so what is the future for your business?
Like I said, I'm gonna really try to get in this hemp industry. Trying to get in this year. Ohio is still haven't released the application so that you can actually cultivate it here. Um, but my goal is to move back down south because I used to live in Georgia and I really liked it there. But I don't know if that's going to be the final location. But I want to go back down south. I don't really like Ohio for a lot of reasons. Main one being cold. Um, but my future is that I'm just gonna, focus more on the research aspect of agriculture because that's needed. There's not, I don't know of any black labs that specialize in biotechnology for you know agriculture. I mean, we have a few labs, dispersed throughout, United States, but they're focusing on like, chemistry or things like that. But there's not really any that are focusing on actual, helping farmers, trying to improve plant genetics through like breeding and not, necessarily do through using the GMOs and all that stuff. Um, it's a lot of stuff that's going to have to be undone to, fix the environment, and that's what I'm trying to work on. When it comes to the entomology aspect, I'm really heavily in, working with bees as well as other pollinators, and then, teaching people how to organically control those insects so that we don't have to keep putting all these poisons into the environment that's, killing not just the insects, it's killing everything. Um, and so a lot of what my future holds is doing a lot of research.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Okay,
yeah,
that sounds amazing. So if someone is out there, right, and
mhm.
they're interested in urban farming or agriculture, and they're a novice, they have no idea. Is there anything you like outside of your page? Obviously, is there anything you could point them to, a book or maybe another page or YouTube channel or something that so they can get like a basic knowledge or understanding if someone wants to like do more research?
Well, I do have some YouTube videos on my YouTube channel, and then I offer every year like these webinars where I teach people how to container garden and things like that. So if they're interested in that,
Okay.
I do consulting. I can do it either in person or if you're out of the state or whatever, I do it via video conferencing. And I've done that for quite a few people, walking them through whatever they were trying to do. Um, as far as if you're wanting to learn something, I would I would stay more on like university websites or research research papers if you can understand them. Like I know sometimes they kind of loaded with these big scientific terms and things, but staying on university and research papers, you're going to get more valid information versus just doing a random Google search and it'll pull up all types of stuff. Some stuff is true, some stuff there's some truth there, but then there's some other stuff that's not true, and then you
Mm-hmm.
have the nonsense.
Got you, got you,
Yeah.
got you. Oh well, listen. I just want to say thank you for your time. I've learned a lot in talking to you in a short time, and I just want to say thank you. Continue to follow everything that you got going on, Corey. Before we get out of here, anything you want to say?
Yeah, Nadia, anything that you want to plug, you make sure that people get to your YouTube, your things. Give them something to go to because you the plug. You got the information.
Yeah. What is
Okay.
your Instagram? We're gonna put it in the description box of everything. But what is it for the people watching the video? What is your Instagram?
It's Urban Farm Sister, and that's SISTA. My YouTube is also Urban Farm Sister, as well as my Facebook and Twitter. I have some other ones, but you can get to them off of that. That's my main one.
Okay.
If you want to, and at the
So your
top of
main your
the
main platform you're on is probably Instagram.
yes, I have the most followers on my Urban Farm Sister Instagram.
Okay.
Yes,
All
yeah.
right. And
So
you can find
I'm,
everything
but
else from there.
yeah, if you can find anything from there, and then like if you send me an email, it's urbanfarmsister@gmail.com if they have questions as well. I usually try to answer within the day or two, emails and things. But I'm usually always on like Instagram. I get Instagram messages all the time. People trying to have me identify something for them or whatever, so I get that all the
All
time.
right, no doubt. We appreciate and keep up the good work and make sure you keep up the
Thank you.
work with the children because I think that's amazing. Like I have a nephew who just started a SAW, which is an agricultural school here in Philadelphia, And
Okay.
I told him, so he has an interest and I'm telling him like, listen, I'm trying to buy these lots up. We're gonna start,
Yeah.
I'm trying to put my expertise and I'm trying to get him to get his expertise, like, But now I know the difference. I'm like, you
Yes.
can't be. Now I know that I'm gonna go back. You can't be a gardener. You gotta be a farmer. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yes.
I never knew that before. No one ever broke it down like that for me. But thank you. Thanks for your time. Thanks for everything. And to our folks out there, make sure you share this information because this is a sister. Someone looks just like us who's out here doing something different. Like we have Black scientists out here who are specializing in agriculture, growing food. She said she got chickens out there. This is amazing to me. So I'm very
Yeah.
excited about this episode. But you know, listen, as we always say, people, it's not about how much money you make, it's about how much you keep. Game elevates, and we shall see y'all in the next episode. Peace.
Yeah.